Hare Krishna. Welcome you all for this Bhagavad Gita e-course. And today it's a very interesting chapter to cover. Chapter number 8, Attaining the Supreme. So before we learn many important concepts from this chapter, let us begin chanting to Guru and Gauranga while folding our hands. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you. So in 7th chapter, Lord Krishna have very nicely, lucidly, explicitly have delineated his position, that he is a supreme Lord. Matta parataram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. There is no one superior than him. And there are 4 kinds of people. Knowing Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, surrender unto him in different degree. And there are few other people who do not surrender to Krishna directly, but they surrender to the demigods. And so this was going on, and because of this, Arjuna had some doubts, some inquiries, that who is the soul? Who are these demigods whom these people surrender? So there are many questions which he asked, at the end of the 7th chapter, and they have been compiled again in chapter 8. So chapter 8 can be divided into 5 portions. Portion number 1, section number 1 will be from Shloka 1 to 4, question and answer. Section number 2 from Shloka 5 to 8 would be remember Krishna at the time of death. Then third, how to remember Krishna is covered in the section number 3, Shloka 9 to 16, remembering the Lord. And fourth, what happens to those who practice spirituality and what happens to those who do not practice spirituality, material world and spiritual worlds. These are the destinations of different people. So 17 to 22. And the 5th section, end section of this chapter, will be discussed about attaining the Supreme through yoga. So this we will cover the 5 different sections, including different important concepts. Now to begin with the section 1, question and answers. In Shloka 1 and 2, if you have Bhagavad Gita with you, you can open. In Shloka 1 and 2, Arjuna asked total 8 questions. And in 3rd and 4th Shloka, Lord Krishna have answered all his 7 questions. And the 8th question is further answered. Now let's go to the Arjuna's questions. You can open text number 1 if you have the book with you. Arjuna Uvacha Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adibhutam cha kim proktam adidevam kim uchyate. First question, Kim tad brahma? In 2nd chapter, if you remember, Lord Krishna gave him the gyan, the knowledge about the soul, the self. Now here he is asking, who is the soul? Whom does it belong to? And other things regarding the soul. So, Kim tad Brahma? Who is Brahman? What is Brahman? Second question, Adhyatmam. What is the nature of the self? What is the nature of that Brahman? What does it do? Third question, Kim karma purushottamaha? What are these actions? People are engaged in bad activities, good activities. Some people are engaged in devotional activities. So, what are these actions? Because we know Newton's 3rd law, there is a reaction for every action. So, what are these actions? 4th question, Adibhutam, which means the material manifestation. He asks, what is this material nature? It's so giant and big and huge. What is the purpose of this material nature? How does it work? And 5th question, Adhidevam kim uchyate. What are these demigods? If you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is the purpose, the existence, the aim, the goal, the objective of so many demigods in this existence? And 6th question in text 2, Adhiyajnaha katham. Adhiyajna. In 3rd chapter, Lord Krishna spoke about a process, about a cycle which is prevailing everywhere in this world for the human beings to follow. What is that cycle? That at the beginning of the creation, human beings were in the existence, and when for human beings, there was arrangement of the yajna, and there were demigods. So when human beings perform yajna, it pleases the demigods. And because demigods are in charge with different facilities, affinities in this material world, when human beings does yajna and pleases the demigods, in turn demigods satisfy all the desires and needs of the people on this planet. So the process, human beings, yajna and demigods. Arjuna asked, Adi Yajnaha, who is the Yagyapati, who is the important person and the enjoyer of all the yajnas which people do? Adi Yajna, Yagyapati. Seventh question. Katham ko atra dehesmin. And where does that Yagyapati stay? Where does it dwell? Eighth question. Prayana kale cha katham gneyosi niyatatmabhi. Prayana kale. Now, because Arjuna was a devotee of Lord Krishna, he was not engaged like other ordinary man in, in ordinary activities. He was a leader, at the same time great devotee of Lord Krishna. Now, he has to fight on behalf of Krishna. So, he may have to leave the body or he may win, whatever. But the important question which he is asking on our behalf is that if I die by working in devotion, what is my gati? What will happen to me? What is my destination, Krishna? Because even if you have understood everything, ultimately I die, I leave my body on this battlefield. What is my destination? Where will I go? So Arjuna was a great leader, and he was more advanced, that believed in reincarnation. Unlike so-called big leaders in the society and top-notch in the nation, that most of the time do not believe, they become atheists, do not believe in reincarnation. Arjuna is concerning about that matter. Now, so these are the 8 questions asked by Arjuna, and these 8 questions very systematically, very nicely, explicitly explained by Lord Shri Krishna in text 3 and 4. But before we go, we will understand 2 terminologies. Arjuna in text 1 addresses Krishna with Purushottama. What does it mean? Prabhupada explains in purport. That's why it's very important to read the purports of all the texts, so that we get further and finer and detailed understanding about every word. Prabhupada says Purushottama, Purusha Uttama, the highest of the man. So because Krishna is a Purushottama who is present before Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it befits Arjuna to ask any doubt, any query, any conflict which is dwelling in his heart, to present before the Purushottama, who can very easily resolve the conflict from the mind of Arjuna. So Purushottama, he is not asking these queries to an ordinary man, to Supreme Person of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Now in text 2 we see Arjuna used Madhusudana. Actually Krishna's name is Madhusudana because Krishna killed a demon called Madhu in Vrindavan. So Krishna, as you know, is expert in killing the demons, and so Arjuna very intelligently expressed Arjuna that Krishna, that you are a Madhusudana who killed the demon Madhu. My dear Lord, I request you, before you, I confess you that you may kill the demon Madhu like doubts, conflicts which are there in my mind and heart. You are Madhusudana. Kill those those doubts. So that's why Madhusudana is used here by Arjuna. Now text 3. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, and Lord Krishna straightly, directly answers his question number 1. What was his question? Number 1 question was, Kim Tad Brahma? What is that Brahman? Krishna says, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Read the translation. The indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman. Indestructible. We, the soul, is called Brahman in Sanskrit actually. And we are never destroyed. We are indestructible, and we are ever eternal. We never take birth. We are ever fresh like Krishna, but when we come to this material world, that's another thing, that we get polluted, contaminated by the presence of the material covering over us. But we are indestructible, ever fresh. Number second question, what is the nature of that self? Arjuna asked. Swabhavo dhyatmam uchyate. His eternal nature is called self. Now, it will be difficult to understand with this small sentence to understand the nature of the self. Prabhupada, they explained in purport, he says just like the nature of the sugar is to be sweet, nature of the chili is to be spicy, nature of the fire to be with the heat and light. Similarly, the nature of the soul is to serve. Now, whom to serve? That is your and my choice. To serve Krishna or Maya. But that is the nature of the self. Be any part of this world, be in India, Australia, Germany, Japan, Pakistan, wherever, this nature never leaves a living entity. We are always serving someone or else. Right. Now, third question is answered by Krishna here. What was the third question? Kim karma purushottama. What are the actions? Karma kya hai? Bhuta bhavodbhava karo visarga karma samgnitaha. You read the translations. Actions pertaining to the development of these material bodies is called karma or fruitive activities. In other words, simpler words, karmas are those activities or the actions by which we have to take birth again and again. Now, there are three kinds of karma: bad karma, good karma and akarma. Bad karmas are the activities, as you know, which are nefarious, very obnoxious, unwanted, unfavorable for ourselves and for the others. It's called sinful activities. And of course, we suffer because of sinful activities. Then second, good karma. We all tend to do good karma generally because we yield good reactions, we enjoy because of good karma. But Krishna does not encourage even good karma. Why? Because to enjoy the reactions of good karma, you have to come again in this material world. When you come again in this material world, birth, death, disease, old age and so many miseries, COVID-19, pandemic, epidemic, diseases and so, right? So, you see, even a rich man, even a poor man, everyone is suffering, right? So, because of good karma, you have taken birth in good family, still you are not away from suffering. But the third kind of karma is akarma. The akarma means devotional activities. Doing any action remembering Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, that is called akarma. That does not bind us, implicate us, that liberates us even from our present condition and from our previous many lives. These devotional activities liberate us. So, we have to work, as mentioned in 3rd chapter. Krishna said, you have to work, you cannot be passive. So, how to work? Krishna said, work in devotion. Remember, yajnarthat karmano anyatra. So, Krishna is saying, actions are those activities because of which you have to take birth. But if you do a karma, you will not take birth. You will not get material body. Now, 4th question was, what is adibhutam? What is this material manifestation? So, Krishna says, adibhutam sharo bhavaha. This immutable, this material nature which is always changing is called adibhutam in Sanskrit. Now, Prabhupada further explained it nicely. Prabhupada said that everything is changing in this material world, even our material own body. You see, when we take birth, then we grow, then we maintain, then we produce byproducts in the form of children and so and so. And 5th, body starts dwindling, old age, and 6th, body vanquishes death. So these are the 6 changes, 6 transformation even with our own body. So similarly, there are all the 6 transformation taking place everywhere in this world. So this world is always changing, and this changing world is called adibhutam in Sanskrit. Now, 5th question was Purusham Chadi Devat. Okay, 5th question was, what are these demigods? So Krishna says Purushas Chadi Devatvam. Now, Krishna have material universal form in this world. So Krishna flatly said that all the demigods are the part of this universal form. In other words, they are part and parcel of Krishna. They are not independent. And sixth question, that where the Yagyapati stays, right? Okay, who is Yagyapati? So Krishna says, Adi Yagno Aham Evatra. I am that Yagyapati. I am the enjoyer. And where does that Yagyapati stays? Dehe Deha Bhritambara. I stays in core of your heart, core of heart of the living entities. Even Krishna says, we will read in 8th chapter, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Riddeshe Arjuna Tisthati. Krishna says, I am the Ishvara who stays in the heart of all the living entities. So in this way, all the seven questions were answered by Krishna. Now comes to answer 8th question, which is very important for all of us, not just for Arjuna, because we also have to leave this body one day. So, and we come to section 2, remembering Krishna at the time of death. Okay. Now Krishna says, Antakale cha mameva smarana muktva kalevaram ya priyati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samsayaha. Whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Now, if you think of Krishna at the time of death, you will you will go back home, back to Godhead. Now, I remember a very important pastime, that how is it possible to remember Krishna and go back to the spiritual world, Krishna Loka, where Krishna stays. There was one Katwang Maharaj long back, and when Katwang Maharaj was staying, he was ruling this material world very dexterously with all his able qualities, with where people were living so peaceful and nicely. Now there happened to take place a war in the heavenly planets between demigods and demons. And demigods invited, in fact welcomed Maharaj Katwang to come and assist them, help them to fight against the demons. And Katwang Maharaj went there and fought voraciously as he was and defeated the demons. Now Katwang Maharaj was to return back to this earthly planet. He has to rule, right? Now demigods were very pleased and they wanted to bestow some boon and they wanted to give something in return. So they asked, especially Kartikeya was the commander-in-chief of the demigods, asked Katwang Maharaj, thank you so much for your kind help. Please ask if you have anything to ask. And Katwang Maharaj was very intelligent. He was a devotee of the Lord. Earlier people, these leaders were devotees. They were Raja Rishi. They were Raja and Rishi. They were saintly kings, in other words. So Maharaj Katwang, he wanted to take the best thing if it is possible. He said, okay, tell me when I am going to die. And this Kartikeya immediately could know that when Maharaj Katwang is dying. He said, Maharaj Katwang, you are going to die next moment. And as soon as he heard Maharaj Katwang, immediately gave his focus, his attention, and started remembering the lotus feet of the Lord. He started chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And after a moment, he left the body and went back home, back to Godhead. This is a result of remembering Krishna at the time of death. But how is it possible? Now, you may be thinking that, yes, Prabhu, it is all right. I may do all my duties without being Krishna conscious. At the time of death, when I am going to die, I know when I am going to die. A moment before, I may think of Krishna. It's possible. Like Katwang Maharaj, no, it's not possible. It's not possible. Just like a student prepares not throughout the semester for exams, then he cannot score very well in exams, but he prepares very well, then he can. Similarly, if you remember Krishna, if you practice Krishna consciousness from the beginning of our life, if not beginning, better late than never. Even from now, if you start practicing Krishna consciousness, we'll remember Krishna at the time of death. Possibility is there. Now, but there are people who do not remember Krishna, who do not practice Krishna consciousness. Now Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smarana bhavam tayajit anta kalevaram tam tam eveti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. एक interesting story है इस context में. Maharaj Bharat, he was a king, great king. But to achieve God, to achieve perfection in life, he left the kingdom, and that's why the whole land of this planet was named on his behalf, Bharatvarsha. But he went to forest, but unfortunately, while he was doing austerity penances, meditation on the Supreme Personal Godhead, he developed attachment with a small deer. And he used to think of the deer, he used to call out the deer if he's going to pluck some fruits, flowers. He would accompany the deer, he would eat with the deer, sleep with the deer, pat the deer, and became deer conscious. Rather Krishna conscious, he became deer conscious. And one day, but the deer was not found around his ashram. And he became panicking. Where did the deer go? Where did my dear child, the deer baby animal go? And started moving to and from the forest, east, west, north, and wherever possible he went. And it was evening while he was fatigued and tired, looking all through the day for that little deer. And suddenly he slipped from a place, from the ground, and he left the body, remembering the deer. And because he left the body remembering deer, the time of death, he had to take next birth in the form of with the deer body. But because he's a devotee of Krishna, after all, he had dedicated his life to remember Krishna. Unfortunately, fell prey for a deer. So he remembered whatever he had done in his previous life. So he used to remain aloof from all the other ordinary deers, and he used to be with the saintly people. He used to chant, he used to hear the mantras being chanted, he used to take prasadam, and so and so. And further, because deer cannot go back to God, it's not possible to remember Krishna at time of that. So he had to take another birth, known as Jada Bharata, wherein he remained Jada, dumb, and like a dumb and meek. He didn't interact with the people, ordinary world, because again he was thinking that there is a chance to fall down again. So he remained aloof and he went back home, back to Godhead. So you see, if you think of deer, if you think of someone else other than Krishna, then the circumstances, consequences are very known to us. Okay. So that's why Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhacha maya arpita mano buddhir ma mevashesya samsayam. That's why always think of me. Don't take chance. Don't become complacent and get infatuated, overwhelmed, obsessed by this material world and the glare of this enticing material sense gratification. No. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhacha. Remember me and do your duty. What is the difficulty? Now, here we end that section 2. Now come to section 3. How to remember the Lord. So, Krishna himself have delineated. You can think of the Lord. Kavim Purana Manushashitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achante Rupam Aditya Varanam Tamasa Parastat. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as one who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is the smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. Remember, he is always a person. And he is luminous like the sun, and being transcendental is beyond this material nature. So, if you do not remember Krishna, and because there are people, because this all instructions are about jnanis and yogis, that they meditate on the Supreme Lord in the heart and so on. So, these are not about the devotees engaged in devotional activity. So, that's why Krishna says, even if a jnani yogi, even if a karmi who does so many things in this material world, he may go to highest planet in this material world by doing good activities, by following all these karma kanda portion from the Vedas. Brahma Bhuna Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Even if you go to highest planet in this material world called Brahma Loka, you'll have to come back again. Mamupetya to punarjanma na vidyate. But when you think of me, go back to me, come back to me, my Vaikuntha never comes back again. Right? So Krishna have delineated the formula, whether think of Krishna or think of anyone else than Krishna. So it's up to us. Section 3rd, we will end here. You can read the translation. I won't go in deep. Now, text section 4, material and spiritual worlds. Here, Krishna very nicely have explained the nature of the material world and the spiritual world. Because if you think of Krishna, you'll go to spiritual world. So, how does spiritual world look like, Prabhu? Krishna have explained here. How does material world look like? Like heavenly planets, people want to enjoy the delights of heavenly planets, right? How does it look like and what are the consequences where we are? Let us understand the bigger picture. Krishna says. So in text 17th, Krishna says that by human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. So even if you go to Brahma Loka, Krishna is saying that Brahma lives many 311 trillion and 40 million earth years. It may look fantastic, right? But we know not to go behind it and go to Brahmaloka, because even Brahma has to die after his 100 years. So that's why further Krishna says, when Brahma's day is manifest, this multitude of living entities comes into being, and at the arrival of Brahma's night they are annihilated. So this material world is manifesting. Remember, material world is always changing. Brahma is also changing his body. That Brahma dies, again another Brahma comes in. So when Brahma's night is going on, then all the living entities are in slumber, doing nothing. And again Brahma takes birth for 311 trillion and 40 billion years. We have to again suffer in this material world until unless we come to Krishna consciousness. So it's very risky if we do not practice Krishna consciousness and go back home, back to Godhead. Now, in text 20th, Krishna have given the glimpse of his spiritual sky, spiritual world. He says, those who think of me, they come back to me. And how does that look like? Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and it is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Interesting, right? So that is the nature of that spiritual world. So that is the difference between material world and spiritual world. Number one, material world is material in nature, spiritual world is transcendental in nature. Never deteriorates. The sixth transformation doesn't take place in the spiritual world, which takes place in this material world. Number two, there is manifestation and unmanifestation of this material world again and again, but that world remains as it is. And that this material world is inferior, it's not supreme. That spiritual world is supreme in nature. You live Sat Chit Ananda life in that spiritual world. You never get old age, diseases and all those stuff. You remain eternally happy, blissful with Lord Shri Krishna. But here in this material world, Achit, हम मरते हैं, we die one day. Asat, Achit मतलब we remain in ignorance, and Nirananda, we remain in sorrow, miseries, doubts, confusion, so and so. But that world is Satchitananda. Okay. Now here we end. You can read further the purports and translation of this section. Now we come to section 5, the last and final. So Krishna in this chapter, in this section, have very nicely explained about many other people also, because there are more than devotees and ordinary people. They are called Jnanis, Yogis. They follow different process. So they follow, there are Jnani Yogis, they cultivate Jnana and they try to merge in Brahman. Then there are Ashtanga Yogis, they try to meditate on the Supreme Lord in their heart, and they also follow different process, Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga. These are all different processes. But according to the Vedas, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. So these all things are applicable for non-devotees. For devotees, these are not applicable. So that's why Krishna finally speaks in this 20th shloka, very important shloka. Vedeshu yagneshu tapassu cheva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti yat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upeti chadyam. A devotee did not care for all these processes कि मुझे रात को बॉडी छोड़ना है, दिन में छोड़ना है, माइंड को कंट्रोल करना है, या सिर के ऊपर से सोल को छोड़ना है, या सोल को ऊपर लेना है, and all those things which you know very well mentioned in the Vedas. Devotee did not care. Krishna is saying a person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. At the end, he reaches the supreme abode. The goal of human life is what? To go back home, back to Godhead, right? in this limited, rare human life, why we have to get infatuated and stuck with other processes which are so complicated and difficult? The easiest process is to practice Krishna consciousness and think of Krishna at the time of death and go back home, back to Godhead. Okay? So thank you so much. Please continue with us with this Bhagavad Gita e-course. You will understand more concepts, and your doubts and conflicts and queries will be answered definitely. So please be with us. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss any updates.